Hi, and in this episode we're back with the VacStation 3100 again, and I'm going to do a clean install of VMS. But I'm going to do it in the old-fashioned way. When these machines were fairly new, CDs weren't very common, and the most common way of installing an operating system was off tape. You'd get a tape from the vendor, usually a TK50. This isn't a TK50, but it's the same, looks the same. And you would install from that very slowly. It was usually on several tapes. I think there's at least 2 tapes for the install. Today what I'm going to do is create the tapes off a working system, and then I will scrub the disk and install from tape. First thing we need to do is get out the tape drive and the CD-ROM drive. That's where the kits are on. This is a portable DLT tape drive, a TZ87. These are a great drive because they will read the old formats as well, TK50s, TK70s, as well as DLT drives. And a generic SCSI CD-ROM drive. First thing you need to do, of course, is take the terminator out the back of the VacStation and plug in this special cable, and then I'll daisy chain the two together. Of course, don't forget the SCSI terminator on the end. I can't find my 7.2 CD, but I found a 7.1 CD, so that will be good enough. Before we do anything, we'll just check the devices. Turn device. And it shows that we've got 2 SCSI hard drives, 400 is a CD-ROM, and MKA 500 is a tape, which is the TZ87. Ds are always for discs, Ms are for tapes. Now to install VMS, you need to create a thing called standalone backup. It's a very cut down operating system that only has one command, which is backup, and you can create that on hard drives or tapes or all sorts of devices, and it's just used to get the machine running backup so that you can then restore part of the distribution in order to do the installation. So I will boot what's on the machine at the moment so that we can then go and build a standalone backup kit. Check we can see the tape, which is there. Now we'll put the tape in. You've got to wait until this green light comes on that says operate handle, and then you can lift that up. Take the right protect off, push the tape in, and then shut the door. It takes a while to check the tape and work out what sort of tape it is. Okay, it's now ready to go. It's detected what sort of tape it is. So we will now attempt to build the kit. The way you build standalone backup is you run a procedure called systile update star back kit. And you tell it the device, which is the tape drive. So I want to put it on MKA 500. It then creates a pseudo drive or virtual drive and copies all the appropriate files in there, and then it'll copy them to tape. That's ready to go. Type yes when I'm ready. And the tape drive will start up. VMB is basically the boot block. For some reason this drive seems to shoeshine, as they call it, where it writes a file and then backs up and then writes the next one and then backs up. Just slows things down a bit, but it will get there. And it is complete. Now to get the tape out, you press the unload button and you wait for it to rewind and unload. When the green light comes on, you can open the door and pull the tape out. Right, protect. Now you've got a standalone backup tape, so you hang on to that because it's always very handy to have. Now the next thing I'm going to do is create a kit with the operating system installation files on it. So I'll put another tape in. Once the tape's in, you should initialise the tape, or format it in other words. So when you initialise, and give it a label. So I'll just call it VMS 071. This will just wipe the beginning of the tape and put the label on it, just like a quick format on a floppy. So it's done. So now I can mount the drive. Okay, so now it's ready to go. I can copy files to it. Now the files are sitting on the CD. DKA 400. So we'll mount that. Now the files that you need are those. It's always the VMS and the version number, .A, B, C, D, E, F. The .A is the install procedure that is used when you do an upgrade. B is the main kit that you install. So I shall copy those onto the tape. Okay, the next batch you should copy is the deck Windows files. So, the Decwa files. Another thing you probably should copy is the networking. So we go into TCP IP. fax 041. And copy those onto the tape as well. And just for completeness, I'll copy the DECnet files on as well. Okay, once you've finished writing to the tape, you're going to remember to dismount the tape because you've still got a connection to it. You wait for it to rewind and you can remove it from the drive. So now we've got two tapes, standalone backup, which is what we use to do the install with, and the actual software itself on another tape. So we'll shut it down now. Wipe the disks and then we'll install it clean. Okay, we'll attempt to wipe the disks. I think that's going to take forever, we might stop it there. Okay. So there's nothing on that disk, and there's nothing on that disk. So I have an unbootable system now, and it's now time to install. So we put our standalone backup tape in, and we now boot off the tape drive. Now searching for devices, tapes, disks, network drives, all sorts of things. Right, it's discovered the floppy, 2 hard drives and the tape drive. You can now take the standalone backup tape out, because you don't need that anymore. The software kit tape in. And there's only one command works here, and that's backup. So you're going to back up from MKA 500 :ms071.b/save. We'll write it to DKA 100. You always install the .b save set and write the whole thing. And we're ready to go. Initialising the hard drive. One of the nice things about backup on VMS is if you hit Control-T, it tells you where it's up to. So it's currently restoring a file called reply.exe. you hit it again, you're restoring a different file. And that's completed. If you hit yes, it'll just go back to the prompt again, where you can do another backup command if you want, but we don't need to. Although you may think tape is very slow, this is a fairly fast tape drive, so many years ago it was extremely slow. So we hit the break key to get out of that, and then we boot off the new hard drive that we just created. So it's telling us it's the install procedure. It's on a back server 3100. It thinks it's a server because I haven't got the monitor plugged in, nor need to be stationed. System disk is an RZ26, and it wants the date. Wants to know the label for the system disk. You can put anything you like here really, but if you're putting it in a cluster, you've got to make sure they're unique names. Now we're not finished installing yet, so we've got to tell it where the tape drive is. Yes, it's ready. And now it'll take all those other files, you know, the .c, the .d, the .e, all those files, and store those as well. So now we get a choice as to what we install. Library files, yes. Optional files, yes. Message help, yes. No, I don't want that. Deck Windows base. Yes, might as well. 100 DPI. No, don't need that. Install DeckNet Plus. No. Yeah, so that's what it's going to install. Now to install all those items from tape. Now it looks like the installer assumes you're installing up a TK50, which is a 95 megabyte tape. So it wants the second tape put in. We're off a TK87, which is a few gigabytes, so we don't need to change tapes. So we can just keep going with that on the same tape. This is the name of the machine. Let's call it that. SCS system ID is the thing used for DeckNet. It's in the form of a number, dot number, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and it's 1024 plus whatever. So I'll just give it a number above 1024. Do licenses later. autogen's the tuning procedure, so it'll have set parameters and then it looks at how the system's performing and generate new settings based on that. It'll take some time to do. So the autogen's finished and now it's going to do a reboot. And it's up. First thing we'll do is decompress some libraries. Just makes it a lot faster to get help. We won't do them all, just do one. The libraries are now decompressed, so things like help will go a lot faster. So it doesn't have to decompress them. One thing we'll do while we remember it is to create a standalone backup kit. We've got one on tape, and I'm going to create one on the system disk. What it does in this case is it just creates another directory called sys E instead of sys0. So it takes up very little room. It just means if you want to do a complete backup of your system, it's easy to do. Done. Alright, next I think we should install some networking, and then I think that'll do. I'll just get the networking software off the tape where we put it. Now about to install TCP/IP, and I better plug the machine into the network. These servers only come with thick wire or thin wire Ethernet, so what you need is one of these modules to convert it to twisted pair to get onto the normal network. UCX is the TCP/IP package. That's installed. I need to configure it. Okay, this menu lets you set things up. Okay, let's see if it works. Yes. All we need to do now is to add that to the startup procedure, and then I think we're pretty much done. This is the system startup procedure, the one that you can edit. If I look for UCX and remove the comment from here. And save. And give it a reboot. And it still works. And you can tell that to yourself, so that works too. So that's it for today. We've created some tapes with standalone backup and software kits on it. We then wiped the machine and installed VMS off tape. I hope that was of interest, and we'll see you next time.